The Realm of Good and Evil, 3-Hour Countdown to Life. Chapter 1, Death and Rebirth. Shen Yunqing, a police academy student, was unfortunately shot and fell to the ground in order to save a hostage passerby while chasing a dangerous suspect. Her eyes turned into darkness, and she thought she was dead. But when she opened her eyes again, she was greeted by the morning light and hustle and bustle of a strange city she had crossed over. However, this time, she is not a police academy student, but an intern reporter named Shen Yunqing, who is in a parallel time and space. A cold system prompt sounded. Warning, there are 3 hours left in the countdown to life. The only way to survive, assist the police in arresting criminals and complete system tasks. Yunqing's eyes widened, and his heart beat rapidly. What kind of weird setting is this? She quickly touched her chest and found that the system panel was shining with a good and evil value radar and a random reward slot. This is the only hope for life, and it is also the beginning of suffering. Chapter 2, The First Test Edge. Yunqing's first target was the Dark Claws gang that sold drugs on the streets. She incarnated as a squatting reporter and lurked in the dark alleys of the night market. The good and evil radar shows that the target person's good and evil value is red, and the crime is obvious. She discovered that she not only had the intuition of police school training, but also could avoid danger through system prompts. During a crisis, the system drops a tracking memory recorder that can crack the sound code left at the crime scene. Using a voice recorder, Yunqing successfully obtained key evidence of the Dark Claw drug trafficking transaction and secretly transmitted the information to the police. There was a breakthrough in the case, and the countdown to her life was slightly extended. Chapter 3, Foggy. But the good times didn't last long, and the system message jumped out again. New mission, infiltrate the Obsidian Gang and master its money laundering routes. Warning, the target is suspected to have an insider. Yunqing entered the Obsidian Gang's surface bar and pretended to be a waiter. The members of the Obsidian Gang are all kinds of people, behaving strangely, and the atmosphere is depressing. She relied on her keen observation and the invisible pulsar given by the system to avoid layers of traps. In the process, she discovered that one of the core members of the gang, a man named Lei Yuchen, acted cautiously and seemed to have secrets. Yunqing's heart moved. Is he an enemy or a friend? At this moment, the countdown to life quickly approached the last hour, and she had to pick up the pace. Chapter 4, The Bizarre Truth. Through a secret meeting at night, Yunqing accidentally learned that Lei Yuchen was actually an undercover agent of the police. However, he has been suspected by the Obsidian Gang and his life is at stake. The system suddenly issued an alarm. The enemy uses the mind jammer to try to block her good and evil radar. If the radar fails, it will not be able to distinguish between true and false friends and foes, and the countdown to life will instantly return to 0. In despair, Yunqing tried to counteract the mind jammer with his iron will, and sent a distress signal to the police with an invisible pulsar. Lei Yuchen appeared in time and repelled the members of the Obsidian Gang with Yunqing. Chapter 5, Good and Evil are difficult to distinguish. While pursuing a money laundering case, Yunqing was unexpectedly involved in a transnational conspiracy. She discovered that a wealthy businessman Ji Yunling who was charitable on the surface was actually the big financier behind the scenes. But the system radar showed that Ji Yunling's good and evil values were actually grey, which was difficult to determine. Yunqing was confused. Is everyone black and white? At the same time, the system prompts a moral Libra badge to drop, which can temporarily give her insight into the subtle changes in good and evil in people's hearts. Yunqing used the badge to probe Ji Yunling and was shocked to find that he was secretly supporting the confrontation between the police and the gangsters, intending to use it to cleanse the evil, but the methods were extremely cruel. The line between good and evil blurs in an instant, and she must make a choice, expose Ji Yunling, or use him to achieve greater justice. Chapter 6, Life and Death Choices. With only 30 minutes left in the 3-hour countdown, Yunqing decided to cooperate with the police to design an action that would hit the West. She pretended to publicly expose Ji Yunling's crimes and lured him to appear, but in fact she was preparing to wipe him out with the gangsters. During the operation, Yunqing was recognized by Ji Yunling and almost lost his life. At the critical moment, Lei Yuchen came to the rescue, and the two joined forces to break through the siege. In the end, the police took the opportunity to raid and successfully arrested Ji Yunling and a number of suspects. The system sent out the message life extension successful, and the countdown reset. Chapter 7, Dawn After Darkness. The case came to an end, and Yunqing stood in a high-rise building in the city, overlooking the bright night. She knew that the struggle between good and evil was far from over, and the game had just begun. New system missions flash, new challenges of good and evil are coming, ready to meet the unknown fate. She took a deep breath, clenched the memory recorder and pulsar given by the system, her eyes as firm as steel. No matter life or death, I will reveal the truth and protect the light of this city. The story is not over yet, and the scales of good and evil are always swaying. Chapter 8, The Rift of Destiny. As night fell and the city was flashing with neon, Shen Yunqing stood by the window, holding the memory recorder that shone with pale blue light in her hand. The cold voice of the system sounded in my ears. The good and evil value changes, and the target spectral phoenix appears. Please investigate immediately. There are 2 hours and 45 minutes left in the countdown to life. Yu Huang. Yunqing muttered to himself. This was a name she had never heard of, but she also felt an inexplicable crisis. She quickly searches the database and discovers that the Ghost Phoenix is a mysterious organization that dominates the balance of power in the city's dark underworld. They are low-key but cruel, specializing in high-end intelligence and black market trading, and even the police have few people who can get close to them. Yunqing knew that this mission would be even more dangerous. Late at night, she came to the secret club where Yu Huang often used and disguised herself as a bartender to mix in. The lights were dim, the voices were noisy, and the air was filled with the smell of smoke and alcohol. Her good and evil radar began to beat violently, and the sin value of the members of the Spectral Phoenix was crimson, as if it could burn everything. Just as she was quietly recording information, a man in a black trench coat quietly approached, looking straight at her with cold eyes. Who are you? The man asked in a low voice. Yunqing pretended to be calm. I'm just here to find a reporter for the story. The man sneered. Story? Here, the story is life and death. During the conversation, chaos suddenly erupted in the bar, and a group of masked men broke in armed and attacked the members of the Spectral Phoenix. Yunqing reacted quickly and used the invisible pulsar dropped by the system to create a temporary barrier and escape. In the chaos, she saw the man in black fighting fiercely with the masked man. His skills were vigorous, but he also showed a hint of fatigue. Who is controlling this melee behind your back? Yunqing's doubts deepened. After the melee, the man in black found Yunqing with a serious expression. You are not an ordinary journalist. Now that we're here, can we cooperate? My name is Ye Chen, I am a person within Yu Huang, and I do not approve of this infighting. Yunqing hesitated for a moment and decided to trust Ye Chen. After all, only by getting close to the enemy's core can the truth be found. The two agreed to exchange information and work together to uncover the dark conspiracy within Yu Huang. However, time passed mercilessly, and the system countdown coldly reminded that there were only 2 hours and 30 minutes left in life. Chapter 9, Double-Sided Conspiracy. Ye Chen took Yunqing into the hidden underground base of Yu Huang, which was like a labyrinth, full of high-tech devices and heavily guarded traps. Yunqing felt the fluctuations of good and evil values in every corner through the system's criminal scanning radar, and she was surprised that Ye Chen could be in it but maintain a relatively neutral position. Ye Chen revealed the internal chaos. Yu Huang has been divided by two factions, one advocating compromise with the police, hoping to whitewash the past, the other faction wants to fully expand the dark forces and set off a bigger storm. Yunqing felt that the complexity and danger of the task had escalated sharply. At this moment, the system drops the mirror of will again, which can illuminate the deepest secrets of the human heart. Ye Chen picked up the mirror and looked at his chest, reflecting a memory of his childhood betrayal and deception. His eyes instantly moistened, and Yunqing's heart was shocked. I thought darkness was the only destination, but I didn't want to change until I met you. Yunqing held Marvin's hand and felt a firm strength. However, just as the two were preparing to join hands to fight the infighting, the base suddenly sounded the alarm. An external police raid had begun, and the two sides were forced to split up. Chapter 10, Escape and Pursuit. Yunqing and Ye Chen risked their lives to break through the layers of blockade and escape from the base with important information. They weaved through the city's dark sewers and abandoned factories, with pursuers chasing after them. Yunqing uses the shadow step skill obtained by the system to dodge enemies like a ghost. Ye Chen guided the direction with rich underground intelligence, and the two cooperated tacitly and repeatedly turned danger into safety. However, Yunqing felt that the countdown was still approaching coldly, and there was little life left. She clutched the memory recorder and vowed not to give up the last glimmer of life. Chapter 11, The Truth is Torn. On the way to escape, Yunqing accidentally discovered that Ye Chen had a secret device hidden on his body, which could actually control the readings of the good and evil radar. She was shocked. Could it be that Ye Chen had been accusing her of judgment of good and evil? The two broke out in a fierce dispute, and Ye Chen admitted that he was originally a spy for a hostile faction, but after contacting Yunqing, he had a conflict in his heart. I want to change everything, but I'm afraid of losing it all. Ye Chen's voice was low. Yunqing is faced with a choice. Should he trust Ye Chen, or give up this ambiguous and dangerous partnership? There is 1 hour left in the countdown. Chapter 12, Dawn Battle. Yunqing decided to give Ye Chen a chance, and the two worked together to formulate a plan with the intention of quelling the civil strife in Yu Huang in one fell swoop. They secretly infiltrate the headquarters of a rival faction, use a voice recorder to crack the security system, and expose all the shady things inside. At the same time, Yunqing used the mirror of will to face his dark side, successfully suppressing the temptation of Xianying Shang and sticking to his kind heart. The police and the Yu Huang loyalists launched a coordinated offensive and finally subdued the rebels. At dawn, the city gradually returned to calm. Chapter 13, Rebirth and Light. After the case was solved, the system countdown miraculously returned to 0, and life continued. Yunqing and Ye Chen worked together to rebuild the phoenix, transforming it into a guardian in the dark night, specializing in purifying the dark corners of the city. Her report revealed all the truth and became a widely respected journalist, working with Ye Chen to protect the balance of good and evil in the city. Life is short, but the meaning is determined by me. Yunqing stared at the morning light, smiling firmly. The story is not over yet, but she is ready for the next test of fate. Chapter 14, Undercurrents Surging. Although the Phoenix organization has regrouped and become a force that silently guards justice in the dark night, Shen Yunqing knows that the crisis has not yet dissipated. In her latest in-depth report, she exposed a cross-border money laundering case involving multiple countries, and it seems that a larger and mysterious force is involved behind it, the Phantom Council. This council is low-key and powerful, holding the bonds of global dark power. They are ruthless and secretly control the political and economic lifeblood of many countries. Yunqing decided to track down the Phantom Council, but the system showed that her life countdown was reset to 3 hours again. She understood that this task would be even more arduous and full of unknown dangers. Ye Chen was by her side again, and the two tacitly knew that the future war had just begun. Chapter 15, The Foggy Truth. In order to get close to the Phantom Council, Yunqing and Ye Chen infiltrated a secret meeting island located in the sea. The island is filled with fog and traps are hidden everywhere. Yunqing used the psychic insight reward obtained by the system to probe the secrets in the hearts of the participants, but the members of the Phantom Council had strong psychological defenses and were almost impenetrable. She unexpectedly discovered that the leader of the Phantom Council was actually a mysterious person she had met in her previous life, Li Yuchen, a being who also had the ability to travel through time. Li Yuchen is gentle on the surface, but secretly uses the gears of fate in an attempt to push the world into the dark abyss. Yunqing must face Li Yuchen head-on, and the choice of fate is once again in front of her. Chapter 16, Time and Space are intertwined. Li Yuchen and Yunqing started a confrontation of consciousness and will. Time and space seem to be distorted, and the past, present, and future are intertwined into an intricate web. Yunqing witnessed all kinds of joys and sorrows in his previous life, and also saw the hidden grief and struggle behind Li Yuchen. The two gradually turned from hostility to mutual understanding, but they could not truly reconcile due to their different ideas. The system prompts that there are only 30 minutes left in the countdown, and she must make the ultimate decision between life and death. Chapter 17, The Bright Choice. At the last moment of the countdown, Yunqing looked directly at the light and darkness in Li Yuchen's heart with the mirror of will, closely linking the fates of the two. She chose to let go, handed over control to Li Yuchen, and believed that the kindness of the human heart could overcome the darkness. Li Yuchen felt a warmth he had never felt before, and resolutely destroyed the dark plan of the Phantom Council. The countdown to Yunqing's life finally returned to 0, and she was able to be reborn in reality and become a true guardian. Finale. Yunqing returned to the police and journalism and became a symbol of cross-border justice. She fought side by side with Ye Chen, continuing to expose the darkness and protect the light of the city. She understands that the battle between good and evil will never end, but as long as there is light in her heart, she can pass through the deepest darkness. Postscript. This is a story about life, good and evil, and choice. Shen Yunqing spent a short time wandering between shadow and light, challenging the arrangement of fate. In countless interlaced time and space, she proved with courage and wisdom that even if life is limited, the flame of justice will never be extinguished. May everyone who struggles in the darkness find their own light.